Crypto, I'm a 68-year-old dinosaur, so I'm not sure I should be saying too much about it. Um, I bought some last year in the early stage of the pandemic when Congress started acting crazy, and it was down at 6,500. And I heard from another money manager that, in point of fact, that when it went from 17,000 to 3,000, 85% of the people still owned it and realized that these like religious zealots that own this stuff and they never sell it. So it's a funny story. I was going to buy 100 million of it, even though I didn't really believe in it because I thought the risk reward was quite good. It took me a week and a half to buy 20 million of it. I sold it all at 35,000, and like a month later, it was 65,000, and I was just like beside myself because I left hundreds of millions of dollars on the table. I do think that the blockchain, so crypto technology, the best and the brightest are coming out of Stanford and MIT, and there's thousands of these kids working on the problem. And I don't think it'll be as big as the internet, but I think it will be big, and there'll be a new payment system and a new world derived around this. Probably the companies you want to invest in, you'll catch them at Rockefeller because there'll be stuff that hasn't even been founded yet by some of these 26-year-olds. But I'm not sure I believe in this stuff as a currency, but I do believe in the platform of the blockchain.
For a long time, you were a skeptic of Bitcoin and some cryptocurrencies, but you recently appear to have changed your mind about that. What happened?
Well, COVID happened and the great monetary inflation happened, and that made me begin to think about how do you want to be positioned in your portfolio going forward. So that's really what tripped my interest in Bitcoin. And you have to realize, if you just think about, say, Bitcoin versus cash, right? Bitcoin, when I think of stores of value, I think of it four ways: purchasing power, trustworthiness, liquidity, and portability. That's kind of the categories I put it in. So when it comes to trustworthiness, Bitcoin's 11 years old. There's very little trust in it. We're watching the birthing of a store of value, and whether that succeeds or not, only time will tell. What I do know is that every day that goes by and Bitcoin survives, the trust in it will go up. If you take cash, on the other hand, and you think about it from a purchasing power standpoint, if you own cash in the world today, you know your central bank has an avowed goal of depreciating its value 2% per year. So you have, in essence, a wasting asset in your hands. So Bitcoin, I think it's a great speculation. Bitcoin has a lot of the characteristics of being an early investor in a tech company. And I didn't realize it until after, unfortunately, I came on your show and got besieged by God knows how many different people on Bitcoin. And again, I've got a small single-digit investment in Bitcoin. That's it. I'm not a Bitcoin flag bearer. But what I learned was, and what I was so surprised by, is that Bitcoin has this enormous contingent of really, really smart and sophisticated people who believe in it. And now when I think of the menu of the inflation hedges, the thing that Bitcoin has, again, it's like investing with Steve Jobs and Apple or investing in Google early. You've got this group that's, by the way, crowdsourced all over the world that are dedicated to seeing Bitcoin succeed in it becoming a commonplace store of value and transactional to boot at a very basic level. And so I've never had an inflation hedge where you have a kicker that you also have great intellectual capital behind it. So that makes me even more constructive on it.
Okay, let me ask you a different question, which is around Bitcoin. Because
Right.
you I want to say last spring, said, you know what, I'm getting into crypto for the first time.
Again, I thought things were crazy then. I think they're crazy now. Bitcoin, listen, I like Bitcoin, right? Bitcoin is math, and math has been around for thousands of years. And 2 plus 2 is going to equal 4, and it will for the next 2,000 years. So I like the idea of investing in something that's reliable, consistent, honest, and 100% certain. So Bitcoin has appealed to me because it's a way for me to invest in certainty, where, again, I look at the difference between the Fed of 2013, the Fed of 2021. I'm going, how can this, do I want to have faith necessarily? I look at the difference between Trump and Biden. Do I want to have faith in that same reliability and consistency of human nature and the linear nature of human nature, which we know is anything but that?
You like Bitcoin at these prices?
Listen.
You got in at about 10,000?
I like Bitcoin as a portfolio diversifier. Everyone always asks me, what should I do with my portfolio? My employees say, I say, okay, listen, the only thing that I know for certain is I want to have 5% in gold, 5% in Bitcoin, 5% in cash, 5% in commodities at this point in time.
What brought you to crypto? It seems that this wasn't something you were always bought in on. What changed your mind and what makes you excited about this space?
You know, I was a very vocal non-advocate back in 2017 because I'm forced to live in a world. I service pension funds and institutions with indexing. We are 100% compliant 100% of the time. And my first purchase was not in our operating company. I just bought some Ethereum and some Bitcoin in a wallet myself back in 2017. And one day just talked about it on television, on business press. And my compliance officer called me up while I was still in the green room saying, "Are you out of your mind? Are you out of your mind? You know, we cannot have this dialogue and because we're going to get a call." And sure enough, we did. And what's changed is the regulatory environment because I don't have the option to be non-compliant. I don't even have that at all. But slowly and surely, in other jurisdictions first, Switzerland, Germany, France, Australia, England, Canada, which has allowed ETFs now with Ethereum and with Bitcoin. So I changed when the regulator changed. And I'm very interested in crypto now as an asset class. And in my world, let's say you're running a $1 billion mandate, which is a typical mutual fund or ETF or whatever. And generally, if you're compliant with your own compliant department, there's 11 sectors in the S&P, for example. You're allowed to go up to 20% in any one sector and up to 5% in any one name. That's generally how it works. I argue today that crypto is the 12th sector of the S&P. That's what it is. And I'm saying to everybody on this, if we solve this, there's trillions of dollars coming into this in the 12th sector of the S&P. That's what it's going to be.
What is the long-term play when it comes to something like cryptocurrencies and Bitcoin? So Bitcoin specifically, we got involved when it was a $6 billion market cap, and here's Art Laffer again in my life and in ARC's life. It was a $6 billion cap then. Now it's over $1 trillion, which is, but we were asking the question, this was 2015, could Bitcoin serve the 3 roles of money? And we came to the conclusion that it was possible. Art Laffer collaborated, he tore our original paper up, and as we were going through it, he said, this is the rules-based monetary system I've been waiting for since we left the gold exchange standard, 1971.
Right.
And I said to him, oh, how big could this be? And he said, well, how big is the US monetary base? And back then, remember, this is a $6 billion cap. Back then, it was a $4.5 trillion monetary base. Today, we're at $8.5 trillion. And Bitcoin's at 1 trillion. And that's just one of its roles, I think the most fascinating thing that's happening is in El Salvador. Have you heard? They deemed Bitcoin, the president, who tweets every day, deemed Bitcoin legal tender. And
it was a Bloomberg quiz question.
Okay.
We do it every week. Anyway.
Okay. And sent a Chivo wallet to everyone in the population eligible, so 4 million. 3 million, it had $30 worth of Bitcoin in it. 3 million have downloaded it. Only 1.2 million in that country have a banking relationship. So this is the new bank, digital wallets, and it's going to be true in this country, it's going to be true around the world.
So all in.
All in.
I think one of my sort of incredibly big misses of the last decade, I did some, but not as much as I should have, was not buying enough Bitcoin, not buying enough crypto. And you know, at $60,000 a Bitcoin, I'm still not sure that one should aggressively buy it. But surely what it is telling us is that we are at a crisis moment for the Fed. It is a canary in the coal mine. It is the crypto market is the pure money market, and it is telling us that the epistemically closed bubble around fiat money in the U.S. is heading towards some crisis point. You know, the Wizard of Oz is always this metaphor on Fed, on central banking, and I've sort of thought that maybe we're close to a Toto moment in the Fed, where the little dog is pulling the curtain aside from, you know, the Holy of Holies, and you realize that there's nobody there, nothing's really going on.
What's your thought on cryptocurrency right now, and potentially either accepting it through Apple Pay or otherwise?
It's something that we're looking at. It's not something we have immediate plans to do.
Do you own crypto, any Bitcoin or Ethereum? Would you play around with this?
I do, yeah. I think it's reasonable to own it as a part of a diversified portfolio. And I'm not giving anybody investment advice, by the way.
When did you get interested in it?
I've been interested in it for a while, and I've been researching it and so forth, and so I think it's interesting.
A lot of people, I don't know if you've talked about this publicly before, are people going to say that you're a Bitcoin bull?
I don't know what they're going to say. I don't want to put any labels on me. It's just that it's something that from a personal point of view, I'm interested in.